I think the sheriff has called for what is much more appropriate, and that being a statewide investigation. The sheriff has offered my documents, my reports to the Attorney General's office. They chose not to accept those reports.
When was that?
And here's what the local news, a Fox affiliate out in Wisconsin, had to say about a major 2020 election scandal out of nursing homes where it's alleged that one person voted who was dead and other people voted whose families said they were incapable of voting because they were significantly cognitively impaired. So how did they vote? Kind of weird, right? Here's the local Fox station out there. Check this out.
The sheriff calls it a complex investigation, nearly a year in the making. It centers on one nursing home in Racine County, and that's where our Jason Calvi picks up the story for us. Jason?
Yeah, Ted, we're talking about a resident who died in October of 2020. Her name was Shirley, and she did vote in the November presidential election. Now, her daughter filed a complaint alleging that her mother with diminished mental capacity was taken advantage of. Now, the sheriff's department did investigate. They used search warrants and interviews with staff and families of this nursing home, Ridgewood Care Center. The investigator, a sergeant, says 42 people at this home voted in the presidential election when normally it's roughly 10. Now, of those 42 who voted, families of 8 said their loved ones didn't have the cognitive ability to vote.
Judy quite astutely asked, are you telling me that if my mother could only recall JFK, that the staff would have voted Democrat for her? And the answer was yes.
Nothing to see here, folks. So we can challenge the Virginia election that's not even over yet. If you're a Democrat, you can hire election lawyers with questionable pasts, I'd say, to say the least. Hire them for $60,000 a pop, getting ready for that stolen election now. That is A-OK if you're a Democrat. But if you have actual evidence of voter fraud in swing states, you better shut your mouth. Shut that pie hole. Well, we won't shut up, and we won't bend down, and we will not bend the knee. We will not genuflect. We will not kneel before you. We will not bow. We will not hip hinge and bow in front of you. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week. And next year doesn't look good either. So the local sheriff, who appears to have an open and shut case of what appears to be voter fraud, the local sheriff gave a press conference yesterday. He said something interesting. The sheriff said that he gave the information to the Attorney General's office in Wisconsin, and they weren't interested. I wonder if Terry McAuliffe sends his information to the Virginia Attorney General's office about a stolen election that hasn't even happened yet, if they would entertain him for an audience. I'm sure they would. He's a Democrat. He's a protected class. Here's the sheriff yesterday saying, yeah, I gave the information to the AG's office, and shockingly, we don't seem to get a response from that. Kind of weird, right? Check this out.
We've been in conversations. We will continue to have conversations. I think the sheriff has called for what is much more appropriate, and that being a statewide investigation. The sheriff has offered my documents, my reports to the Attorney General's office. They chose not to accept those reports.
When was that?
That was earlier in the year, say Marchish or something like that. But what, we're extending our offer again. I don't want to speak for you.
Absolutely. We've done it before. The Attorney General and his staff, we spoke with them on a conference line, and we explained the investigation that was unfolding because I felt, as we are probably all thinking today, that this is going to turn into a statewide investigation, so I wanted to bring them on board early on. I offered all of our investigative reports, that we had nothing to hide. You can have all these reports, take a look at them for your review. I even offered, I think everyone in this room would agree that Sergeant Llewell certainly has some talents here and is sort of I would call him an expert in what he's accomplished here, but he certainly has done a lot of heavy lifting. And I offered to send him to Madison to assist their investigators to see what we've unfolded and to sort of better explain it. That offer was declined. And they decided that they didn't want our investigative reports, that there was nothing to see here.
So just to be clear, according to the leftist hack goons in the mainstream media and their liberal totalitarian tyrant acolytes, you're not allowed to talk about election malfeasance. But the left can preemptively talk about an election being stolen before it's even happened, and can still talk about the 2000 election being stolen by Bush and the 2016 election being stolen by Putin. You understand where this goes? You know, Joe and I have been doing this show for a long time, and one of the things I have harped about from the beginning, from the first episodes on. You can go back and listen. I think the original episodes are on SoundCloud. I encourage you to do it sometime. Once you allow the left and totalitarians to set a perimeter around what the bounds of acceptable speech are based on their rules, ladies and gentlemen, then all is lost. You don't have to be in an actual prison. You're then in a mental prison.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show.